Good afternoon. Once again, I would like to thank ADB for organizing this fora, the one in Cebu, where we were joined actually by, I don't know if some of them were here this morning, but in Cebu we had other government agencies with us, the Department of Finance, the PPP Center, and NEDA, and even some representatives from the office of one of our senators. We also had representatives from LGUs. And of course, the session today, where we had representation from the private sector, both coming from the infrastructure group and also from schools. We are very happy to listen to the expert advice and very insightful experiences shared by our experts from Australia, New Zealand, Canada. The studies we had in service contracting in various forms from the UK, Punjab, Dubai, India. And these are very important to us, not just in affirming in our minds that we are on the right track, but also helping us refine our thinking as we continue to implement PPP programs in education and as we plan for expansion or opening of new PPP in education programs. At the same time, opening our minds also to some of the different models that we can look at in the implementation of these programs. This is very timely for us as we roll out the K-12 program and as we prepare for senior high school implementation in 2016. As we had already discussed, the Philippines has been an active practitioner of PPP programs in education, start with the ESC program, which has been running for decades now, which at the moment allows us to educate almost, if not more, a little more than 50% of our private high school enrollment are beneficiaries of the GASPE program. So there are 20% of students in high school enrolled in private schools. Half of them are partially funded, in most cases partially funded by the state. In a few cases, in some of the very low-cost private schools, actually fully funded by government. We also, as you know, we also were able to employ the PPP modality in building approximately 15,000 classrooms in a span of around 2.5 to 3 years, up to next year. And that is a very significant component of the classroom construction program of the government, which, as we all know, has been unprecedented in the history of Philippine education in terms of the scale of the build-up that we have implemented in the past 3 years or so. So PPP is a major component of that plan, and without PPP, I guess institutional difficulties and constraints would have been more difficult to manage than it already is at present. We believe, notwithstanding these existing programs, we believe that we are barely scratching the surface in terms of exploiting opportunities that the PPP approach can give us in terms of improving our ability to provide education services, provide access, and more importantly, to improve the quality of education in the Philippines. We truly believe that planned properly and implemented correctly, that PPP can change the pace of Philippine education, not just in terms of the quality of the infrastructure that we have in our public schools, but more importantly, and not just in the numbers, as Fred had noted, the current plan for senior high school is that with a successful implementation of the voucher program, that we would have approximately 50% of our students enrolled in private schools, coming from the 20% in junior high school today. But so not just in the numbers, but in the diversity of the programs that we have in our private schools, the responsiveness of these programs to the needs of students, families, and their communities, and in the quality of the delivery of these programs. In the area of infrastructure PPPs, we noted with great interest the experiences shared with us by our colleagues from New Zealand, Canada, and Australia. And we do recognize that the implementation of PSIP-1 and PSIP-2 in the Philippines somehow is a relative to these programs in these three countries is relatively limited in terms of the engagement with private proponents. That, in a way, is a function of the need that we were addressing. As we noted in Cebu, we were building not new schools. We were building additional classrooms in so many schools. In the case of PSIP-1, we are finishing 9,300 classrooms in approximately 2,200 sites, giving us an average of just around 4 classrooms in one school. The ratio actually for PSIP-2 is even lower. We are building approximately 5,000 classrooms in approximately 2,000 plus sites, so just around 2 classrooms on the average per school. So the need is different. That influenced the design, where we basically limited the engagement to construction of the classrooms and periodic maintenance in the case of PSIP-1. But in the case of PSIP-2, this is a turnkey project, and essentially the role of the private proponent is to make sure that the classrooms are built correctly, on time, under the right specifications, and delivered to us. But we do see that in the implementation of senior high school, we would probably need to plan for the establishment of new campuses or new schools. And these plans are being refined right now. We have ongoing activities. Most of them have already submitted. The plans are being validated from the regions and the divisions. And we expect that these plans would primarily involve building in existing campuses. But given that in certain areas this would not work, that this would also call for the establishment of new campuses. And we would like to explore the the use of PPP as a way for us to address this requirement, hopefully in a more timely manner at a lower cost and higher quality. For the voucher program, we, for education service PPPs, again, as mentioned, we have a major voucher program planned for senior high school, which would, given our current targets, which would benefit approximately 1.6 to 1.8 million students when we have the two cohorts already. This is a program that would be that would provide a revenue stream of approximately 20 billion pesos to the industry, and that's why we say that this is an attractive opportunity for not just for existing high schools, but for colleges and universities to look into as well. Given that this is a program that will be implemented in a large scale in a very short period of time, we are designing it in a manner that affords us the greatest administrative simplicity. Therefore, the program or the voucher program will be given to all of our public high school graduates. It will also be granted to all of the existing ESC grantees, although the amounts will be tiered depending on where they are. So we will have certain categories of schools or cities where the voucher amounts can vary from 17,500 to 22,000 pesos per year. But the principle is that this would be aligned, the average anyway, the average cost will be aligned to the cost of public provision. And that is the estimate at the moment, but even that is evolving. What is important is that the principle is enshrined and followed, and any adjustment in the cost of public provision would also translate to a corresponding adjustment in the value of the voucher. Looking forward though, this program also would be open to all senior high school licensed institutions, whether they are coming from private high schools, expanding to private junior high schools, expanding to senior high schools, or colleges and universities who apply for senior high school licenses. As long as you have a senior high school license, you will be eligible to accept voucher students. But in the early years of the implementation of the voucher, we recognize that the ability of DepEd to impose quality standards, given that there is no actual performance data to look at. And it will take some time also for DepEd to put in place the mechanisms to evaluate and inspect schools. That this will not be a consideration in the accreditation of voucher institutions or voucher eligible institutions in the initial years. But that we recognize is just the initial design of the program. But we do realize that it is very important to have quality dimensions incorporated in the design of the program. And we are very happy to learn from the experiences shared by our experts in terms of how this has been done in other countries, whether in the form of standardized tests, assessments, or inspections. And this will be a continuing effort. Actually, even before full implementation in 2016, we hope to refine our thinking and finalize policies also in this regard. Right now, the office of USec Dina Ocampo, who is in charge of programs in DepEd, is very busy working on the new assessment framework for K-12, for the entire K-12 educational system. So once the framework is finalized and the assessment standards for each level and for different programs defined, then we hope to incorporate some of these in the voucher program as well, where quality measures would have implications on either continuing participation of institutions in the program or limits in terms of number of students that they can accept, or incentives in terms of amounts that will be granted to these institutions. And we hope that we can continue to benefit from the insights and the experiences from other countries as we continue to design these more detailed features of the program. We understand that we are making a very big leap here in terms of the scale of the program, and I recall Penton in Cebu saying something about the advantage of starting small. Unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of doing that in the case of the voucher program. But I told him that if we start small with a voucher program, that means that we will start in an even bigger way as far as public provision is concerned, because this is a two-pronged strategy that we are implementing for senior high school voucher and expansion of our public school capacity. And both are new. So starting small with vouchers means that we have to have even bigger plans for public provision. And that is risky as well, because this is also new for the department. The institutional demands on DepEd to be able to plan and execute for the rollout of senior high school programs in our 7,000 high schools, not all of which, by the way, will offer senior high school. So that by itself is a major undertaking, and therefore, given the overall scale of the project, we have to look at a significant program for PPP in the form of this voucher program. Maybe we are starting small in a way by trying to simplify the design, and that's what we're doing, but mindful also that the design has to evolve over time. And I think the comment of Fred in this regard is in fact very, very well taken, that this is something that should not be cast in stone, but subject to refinement in the coming years. And therefore, in that context, I would like and I just also would like to end with a thought that, as Fred noted, 2016 is a transition year, and therefore it is important that outside DepEd we develop or strengthen the constituency for these programs, supporting these programs, and obviously the multilateral sector is a major part of that. and we look forward to ADB and other partners playing a key role in this. But more importantly, really would be the local stakeholders, the private sector, both from the infrastructure side and schools and other foundations and other institutions, and ultimately families and students hopefully will provide us with the support that will ensure that the program is sustained beyond 2016. 2016 actually is a critical year for us because that is the first year for full implementation of senior high school. So again, good afternoon, and thank you to all.